Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtoguru.com. I'm beyond excited to have my next guest on with me, Christof Melchizedek. How do you pronounce your last name?
You got it exactly right, Melchizedek.
There you go. Christof Melchizedek, this is the guy who's got me getting skinnier before your very eyes. Been working on a cleanse with him for the last 2.5 weeks. And yes, I've dropped about 20 pounds, believe it or not. And I don't feel hungry. I don't think I'm missing anything. I feel extremely vibrant and sharp as a tack. I haven't had booze or caffeine. Christof we've been working with him. There's about, I think there's 30 in our group from the Anarchapulco gang that are working with Christof for the entire year. And this was our cleanse month. I want to welcome you, Christof, and thank you. So far, it's amazing. And let's just keep this thing rolling. But we want to talk about both health and vitality, but also mainly about the good side of cryptocurrencies, not the dark, evil bankster side, but the good side. And welcome, Christof.
Thank you. Thank you, Bix. Pleasure to be on your show and nice to be in your company again. Of course, we met 2 years ago at Anarchapulco, where I was guided to attend as an attendee and happened to be standing in line with you at dinner. Had no idea who you were, of course, at that point. Didn't know anyone in that field or industry. And then we got on great. And then, we kept our communication alive. And then the following year, I came back as a speaker. And we just had some great dinners and laughs together and enjoying you and Amy's company in Acapulco and beyond. And I'm sure Amy is happy with her husband 2.0 that is, getting thinner before her eyes, getting leaner, getting sharper, getting smarter, getting more evolved.
Yeah. Well, yes, she's beyond happy. She's a little mad that she's not losing weight as fast as I am, but I told her, hey, she ate that way before. Not exactly the cleanse, but more healthy food.
And not to be disrespectful, you were starting a long way behind where she was health-wise. And so you had a good momentum to go. And of course, she's also training and acquiring a little bit of lean muscle tissue, which is more metabolically active. And I imagine if you ask her, well, how are your clothing sizes going? She'll be very happy with her response, because sometimes you don't see the big shift in weight, but the clothing sizes really paint another picture.
Yeah, I think she's more excited about new shopping adventures she gets to go on.
Yes, and with Litecoin going on its little run, there might be a little bit of a booster in her step into the shops. And although she probably can't spend it just now in shops, it might be far away.
Absolutely.
Maybe we give a little background into the cleansing protocols, because before I started dedicating my life path to energy consciousness, spirituality, and evolutionary growth, I was, I don't know if you know this about me, but for probably 15 to 20 years, I was a physical therapist, trainer, health consultant to kind of high-end executives. And for many years, I was doing a lot of work also in the consulting into the health club space. And there's something quite crazy about the fitness industry is that, the fitness industry, this is coming from 15 or 20 years experience with inside of, consulting in that field or working within that field, is that, health clubs generally are great at facility management. They are a little less great at kind of, facilitating health and transformational or weight loss and all these types of things. It's because much of the education and the protocols developed have been focusing on more calories than health, and more focusing on, what are the building blocks rather than actually cleansing or detoxing. And the protocol that you've been going through, the raw food cleanse, is one of the best protocols out there for the side effect, which isn't the primary reason we do it, but the side effect of losing body fat and body weight just starts shedding off people. And interestingly, part of the reason why that is that the body holds a lot of toxins. Now, even if you're not a big drinker or a smoker or all these other things, just the environment, that we're living in, the compromisation of the food supply, the chemicals, the sprays, the chemicals in the home have increased the amount of toxicity inside the cell. And it's all about cellular toxicity. And so what the body does is the body ends up layering more body fat to protect the organs from that toxicity, because toxins, toxins live inside the fat cells. So in order for them to be diluted, i.e. less impactful on the system, the body will naturally increase body fat tissue. And so it puts on body fat to protect the toxicity in the system, so there's more surface area to spread it out. So as soon as you open up the pathways and start to clean out the toxicity, the body goes, why am I carrying this body fat? There's just no need for it. And the body just drops weight quickly. And when I first started running these protocols in the health industry, I got quite interesting feedback. The feedback I got from clubs I was putting protocols into, this is crazy. It's not safe to lose this amount of body weight. And that's because they were coming from an old paradigm of calories in versus calories out. And on that model, you used to be able to lose a couple of pounds a week. Okay, so on the protocol that you've been on, 2 pounds a week over 3 weeks, 6 pounds. Well, one of the things for most people is that 6 pounds isn't exactly motivating to keep going after 3 weeks, right? Because when you first start a new habit or a new kind of thing, it's very uncomfortable. Your body aches a little bit and you have to change your food. But how motivated are you right now to integrate some kind of changes in your life going forward, having lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks?
It's only been 2.5 weeks too. I can't wait for 3. I struggled with weight forever, and obviously my lifestyle and what I ate and drank and was not conducive to losing weight. It was the exact opposite. And the concept of eating real food, like food that has not been processed or cooked even. Yeah. And that's the key to what, you can have diets where, I'm on a veggie diet, so you'll cook up a bunch of vegetables. We're eating just the raw veggies and then the raw smoothies and then now we're on juices. So it's amazing. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, what is it that the body takes in when I eat food? It's looking for those nutrients and vitamins. And when you juice it, that's what comes out, the nutrients and the vitamins and all the other crap.
That's all you get.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, just to go into that a little bit for those that are at home listening and interested, it's all about frequency. And as soon as your frequency starts raising up like yours is, all the discordances of disease and the drama that can be in the body, because it's not about the germ in the system, it's all about the terrain. The germs can only be in the body because the terrain allows it. And that means when the body is usually acidic. And being acidic, it kind of creates the environmental conditions for that bacteria, viruses, and all sorts of toxicity to live. Well, and then the thing with eating cooked food is that it's taking out all the enzymes, it's taking out a lot of the nutrients. And so in the raw state, and that's not saying you go raw forever, that's not going to work either. You need some cooked food in winter, but it's just adding a little bit of raw food like a salad with every meal massively kind of activates and helps the process. And the protocol works kind of like 1 week raw, especially if you have kale, which is amazing. You can just put olive oil and lemon with kale and massage it to make it soft and use that as your base. It just goes through the small intestine and it goes through the whole stomach region, small intestine, and pushes out a lot of the built up matter. And then you go to the smoothies week, and of course smoothies in a blender, you've still got all the fiber. Now, the place in your body where you actually absorb all of the nutrients is inside the small intestine and the microvilli. And the microvilli are these little folds like this. They're little folds on each wall of the small intestine, which is going lengthways like that. And in here is usually a lot of mucoid plaquing, a lot of mucus and plaque and build up over years of eating certain foods, little bits of meat and other things stuck in there. And the smoothies week goes in and just takes out all of that. Goes in and cleans out the microvilli. And so then the microvilli by week 3 are really ready to start taking the juice. And the juice just goes in without the fiber and just plugs all the nutrients in. And I don't know, I'll ask your experience in a moment, but when I've gone through, I use this protocol once a year, usually around springtime as a bit of a clean out. And the first time I did it, how am I going to survive with just juice? I mean, I'm not going to like be able to have any energy for anything. I'm going to be like tired. I'm not going to be able to work out. You know, all this old programming that we think how our body works. But, you know, my experience and the hundreds of people I've put through this protocol have also shared, they've never felt more sharp mentally, never had more energy, never felt more focused. How are you going with it? Are you experiencing something similar?
I was telling my
on the juices week I'm talking about, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, juices. This is what day 2 of the juices. I thought I'd be starving. I thought I'd be starving. I am not at all, and I've never gone to the grocery store and spent $200 on vegetables, but that's what we just did, and it is awesome to be a part of this, and I can feel my focus is better. I've never got so much work done. All my Road to Ruta people are saying, "What are you doing? You're doing this Patreon thing. You got Charlie Lee, you got John Kim in town. I am juggling things, and it's just so easy because I can focus on it, and I don't have to worry about, you know, slowly getting up, having my cup of coffee, and getting the shakes by 4 o'clock from the coffee. Awesome. I feel great, and I'm not hungry. That's the really bizarre thing that I didn't think. This far into it, 2.5 weeks, I didn't think I would be not craving food.
One of the things with coffee is that, people think and they make an association, this is what gives me energy to get through my day. Well, they're only doing that because they're already a little bit tired and sleep deprived and stressed. And so that's just like putting, hot oil on the kind of the generator of the adrenals, and the adrenals kick off. And so you're operating from stress. That kind of stress response usually first thing in the morning, right? And you get up and you're sharp, but it's kind of makes you a little bit edgy. It's not a smooth energy, right? It's kind of a ramp up and a crash. And then the ramp up makes you a little bit edgy, so you can be focused, but not like you can on juice. Or right now I'm drinking lean matcha green tea, and that is a much smoother. And if you start moving to white tea or matcha or green matcha combos, the amount of energy you're going to have and focus is going to be unbelievable. And so then you'll have to start your show with your morning cup of tea instead of morning cup of Z.
Although I am sponsoring a coffee company now. I have a Road to Ruta coffee. Check that out.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, it's not to say to abandon coffee, but what I'm saying is, why don't you try shifting it to the time you have it, where you have it more in the afternoon, more around 1, 2 o'clock, but for the real enjoyment of taste, not because you're tired. Yep. Not because you need it to kind of kickstart your day. And then you're going to be running in the morning session a lot cleaner, a lot smoother.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can vouch for just how well this, and it's simple. I mean, it's really simple. It's just fresh food, and 1 week of that, 1 week you take the fresh food and you stick it in a blender, and then the last week you take the fresh food and you make juice out of it. I mean, it's not rocket science.
It's simple, and it's the most powerful cleanse I know. There is a little parasitic kind of booster you can take, which I'm getting people onto now who are going through this journey with oils. But essentially, it's really about bringing the body back to what it's designed to run on. And then actually when you try running the system on it, it really elevates everything, because it's all about frequency. And we're going to come to, the consciousness behind crypto on our talk today, but really it's all about, the key piece here is all about frequency, energy, vibration. When you start to live at a higher, more exalted frequency, all your attractor fields begin to change. You're operating at faster wavelengths, and in those faster wavelengths become the more divine revelations, more insights, more expansion of perspective and perceptions. You can make better decisions because you're not looking at life through a straw. And this is really what the starting point of this journey that we're taking some of the an Acapulco group through, is that we started with centeredness, which you've been together with me. We've come into purity. Next up, we're going to go into stability. This is part of the keys process that we're going through together. And stability is all going to be about, balancing the emotions, stabilizing the mind and stabilizing the emotions, and exploring beliefs through the subconscious and unconscious minds. And then looking at the belief systems that you have and are operating your life from, and how they were inherited to you from your conditioning in your family, from society, from all of that, and how these are programs that keep playing. So the next part of the journey on top of this cleanse, then where your frequency is much higher, is to explore your life from a more detached witness perspective, exploring the patterns and observing when you get irritated. It's not really about the other person. It's about the woundings and the programs inside of me that are activated, that this person's activated in me. And then you can begin shifting those programs, and you just end up going more and more smooth in life. And you'll see by the time we get to the end of this journey, you'll scarcely recognize your landscape, in a few short months from now. It's a very beautiful journey you're on, and it brings back the magic in life as you recognize that everything is perfect. Everything is divinely synchronated. There's the synchronicities that come when you're more in flow, just harmonize in your life. And seemingly what you used to call miracles are just kind of more like a medium of everyday experience. Miracles are just simply when you start living in alignment with natural law and divine law, and you begin utilizing your consciousness, your internal technology, which is really what we're talking a little bit about today. There's the external tech, the artificial intelligence world, or the digital world, and then there's kind of more our human side, which is really where the technology lies. The most important technology is inside of us. The way that our heart, our frequency, our mind, emotions, our intention all can shape and create our reality, and realizing that we become the creator and shaper of everything in our life, whether we accept it or not. So it's a beautiful path.
That is a great segue into talking about cryptocurrencies and why it's happening now, where it's taking us. I mean, I've dealt with for a long time the concept of the evil bankers. There's no way we can beat them. They've controlled us for 100 years, and they will always control us. And then the cryptos came along, and you're getting it now. Those evil bankers are controlling the cryptos now, and they're taking over the cryptocurrencies, and it's going to be the mark of the beast, and all this stuff comes in. And I've always been on, hey, there's something better, something different going on here, something at a level that we might not even understand how good this can be, because we've been so downtrodden by the banking cabal and those controllers of our lives. This is a good thing, people. This is an amazing thing. And yes, there will be attacks on it from that side of it, because they're going to lose power. But I think it's written in the cards, written in the stars. You can say what you want, but let's go right to the source. Christof, what do you think about this whole emergence of cryptocurrencies and that type of situation?
Yes. Okay. So when I investigate a topic, I usually investigate it from a multi-dimensional perspective. What you see here in the third dimension is merely a reflection of what's playing out in other frequencies and other dimensions of consciousness. And so to answer this properly, I feel we need to go and give it justice of the full depth of everything that's playing out, and really look at this from the most expanded set point, not from being in it. Because when you're in it, there becomes a duality, right, of us versus them. People who are playing, there's two paths in life. There's service to self, and there's service to others. And those beings who are in alignment, who are following the path of service to self, it's all about how much they can get. Those beings in service to others are also all about how much they can give. And that's the two fundamental things that happen across the whole universe. Some beings are all about acquisition, acquiring power, influence. Some people are all about love and about just sharing, caring, giving, and uplifting people. And so this same scenario has been playing out through all of humanity's existence. Those unseen forces, and they are playing both paths. Now, when one explores this acceleration that humanity is going through, and really looks at it now from a broader perspective, let's all step back a little bit and expand, and almost develop something called the sociological imagination. This is a term devised by a gentleman called C. Wright Mills that asked the inquiring mind to explore a situation not by being a part of it, but by being detached from it and looking down from a neutral standpoint, almost like an alien looking down for the very first time into what's going on. And when we look at, humanity and the evolution of our world and where we're at, from that detached perspective, when we're not part of the story, actually, we're just observing it, we lose kind of any of the emotional charge, okay? And one of the first things that happens to people when they start waking up to the control systems is automatically people go into a little bit of blame game. Look what they're doing to us. And the first thing to recognize is that within our matrix is a unified field, unity consciousness. There's only one field of energy, one consciousness with, there are different individual expressions of that consciousness playing out and each of them having their own agendas, but really there's only one consciousness field. And so to recognize that if we go into blame, look what they are doing to us, there's one finger pointing at them and three pointing back to us. Immediately, it puts us into a place of being a victim, okay? And when we are a victim, this allows us to be influenced and influenceable by other external energies. And ultimately, when we start to take personal responsibility for our life, we start to live by a very simple rule. What you focus on is what you get, okay? And this is all part of one of the quantum laws in the universe. And in quantum physics and quantum mechanics, human attention collapses the wave function of the pure potentiality of electrons around a nucleus. At the pure vibrating level of matter, simultaneously, things can be a wave, i.e. a potential, and simultaneously they can be matter. And human attention decides whether what that potential turns into. What potential is this wave going to turn into? Is it going to turn into this, 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 or this, or this? And when human attention fixates on it, that's what it turns into. So immediately by going into this is what they are doing to us, you are creating that reality. Okay, and this is part of this spiritual growth that I feel that humanity is growing through, is that we are starting at the very beginnings now to move past the blame and focusing on what the evil people or the dark side are doing, and we're now are able, because we've got technology that can provide solutions, are able to start just focusing on building something new. Because the secret to all this isn't about destroying what you don't like, it's about building something you love. And this is where all of our energy, attention, and consciousness needs to come into, is starting to focusing on solutions. And then this whole scenario over here becomes irrelevant because we're not even placing any of our attention on it. Now, this is true for the individual, and it's also true for the collective. So while it's important, I feel, to acknowledge and know there are other forces that are playing out, I will give the big picture as I do this little frame up as to what's really going on in the world and how cryptos are playing a part of this evolution of us. But before I give that little insight, or that big picture revelation, I guess, is to recognize that we are empowered. Humans are incredibly remarkable beings. Okay, we are one of the few beings. We are the only beings and species in the universe that have access to all the 12 dimensions of consciousness and are connected to the God source. And when we expand, and evolve our consciousness, we have enormous consciousness fields that can almost solve any issue that's put in front of us. The issue that we have is that our consciousness has been capped, and we've got to go through a lot of conditioning to burst through the point where we can access the more refined frequencies that are available for us. Does that make sense so far?
It does to me, but I've been listening to you for a year now, and but I think if you play it back, guys, you play it back over and over, you get the understanding of. I mean, Christof has been doing this for a long, long time, and he understands it, on so many different levels. I would hope that everybody. This is the kind of interview you gotta
listen to a few times. And it's the energy behind my words. It's not just what I'm saying, it's the energy behind my words that it's coming, it's a transmission. What I would like to do is give the big picture, okay, as to what's really going on in the grand scheme of humanity in our world. And then we will come very directly to cryptocurrencies and their role within all of this, okay? So we're going to get there, but to truly understand this, we have to give it the full depth. So what's happening to our planet is we're going through something called a stellar activation cycle, i.e. our planet is raising its vibration very quickly. we go through these different cycles of time. Some of you may be aware of something called the precession of the equinox. It's a 25,920 year cycle. Our sun spirals heliocentrically around our Milky Way galaxy, thousands of kilometers a second. The sun isn't fixed with our Earth rotating around it. The sun moves and our planets spiral behind it. And over 25,920 years, it completes a cycle. Now, I want you to visualize a racetrack. And at that, like a horse racing track or an athletics racing track, the end points of the bends, consider that the galactic center. And our sun is rotating kind of a little bit wild like that, goes through a big arcing cycle that takes 25,920 years to complete. The endpoints of which, the galactic center, there lies a photon band. Now, if you know anything about frequency or energy, there are slow wavelengths. These are heavy emotions. These are, denser frequencies. And there's very, very, very rapid wavelengths. The more rapid the wavelengths, the higher spiritually evolved the consciousness is that resides there. Our Earth and planet now has moved into a point where we are in the center again. Now, many of the prophecies that have come from the indigenous cultures, the Hopi, the Mayans, many of these indigenous beings and wisdom keepers of the land have always spoken of a golden eon, a time period where the Earth would know 2,000 years of peace. We would live in harmony with one another. And what's happening is that we're coming into that epoch of time where the Earth and our sun and our Earth is moving through a part of this galactic frequency bands where the frequency is very fast, almost directly from source. Plasma is entering our sun, and then through the solar sunbursts is bursting this frequency and intelligence into our planet. Previously, our planet was very dense, and this density created what many star beings called a prison planet, where yes, humanity was imprisoned by our own consciousness. We were capped, but almost visualize like a paper mache ball of density, and then start piercing straws into that density where this light can start entering. And what's happening is that those slow wavelengths are starting to be pierced by the faster frequencies coming in. These beams of light that are coming in are opening up. In from the year 2000 to 2022, we're in a stellar activation cycle, which means that all the Earth's stargates, which are basically portals of energy, and every stargate has kind of a different kind of function, a different kind of area of the galaxy that it kind of accesses. And what I'm going to do, Bix, I'm just going to quickly open up a little chart just so people can get a visualization of this, which I think would be really useful for people to view when I'm talking about this, because this is part of what's happening with crypto. The intelligence coming through right now is kind of allowing these frequencies and energies to even be even exist. So one second, let me just look up Stargates here and see if we can pull that through on a visual image, and then what we'll do is we will get rid of this one. Looks like I might have lost them here. 1 second. Okay. I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna have to open up a keynote and just quickly show you one image, if that's okay, just so you can get a visual image of what a Stargate looks like and kind of functions like. So let me know if you can see my screen here, Bix.
Not yet.
Okay, so let me just share this one. Can you see this?
Now we got it.
Yeah. So this is an example of a Stargate. This is the first Stargate, Haley South Pole, and it's got three components to a Stargate: a Q site and a planetary arc of the Covenant. And these three things pop together and create a frequency tone, which opens a Stargate. And when that Stargate opens, the planet starts receiving frequency from that dimension, and plasma starts coming through. And this only happens once every 25,920 years. So it's a very rare kind of event, and we're right in the middle of it right now. This one connects to Theta Orion, parallel Earth and Mercury. And so with higher dimensional consciousness and beings, they know how to work these stargates and suddenly portal through to these other areas of the universe. The second stargate, Easter Island, Sarasota, Florida, Stonehenge. Okay, the Q site is the activation site for the stargate itself. So Easter Island activates Sarasota, Florida, and Stonehenge is part of the planetary arc of the Covenant, the portal, which then will open to access inner Earth and Venus, access to instantaneous travel to inner Earth, Venus. The main point here, what I'm sharing about, is that these stargates have been spontaneously opening since 2000 of this year. Since year 2000, 2017 was the peak. And from all of that, we have seen more and more plasma frequency come into the Earth. Why is this important? Well, plasma frequency is the highest vibrating wavelengths in the interstellar spaces. And this is coming into the density of our planet. So take a think for a moment, Bix, of how you are today in terms of what you know and your awareness and the speed of life compared to, say, 10 years ago. Would you say, do you feel things are speeding up?
Absolutely. I mean, it's night and day. You know, a lot has to do with awakening to all these hidden things. And just a note before I forget, Cliff High had been doing a lot of research into Antarctica, and there was a wave that was detected, and he put it up and said, what is this wave coming out of Antarctica?
Yeah, so that was
a while back. It was like
you can see here, Stargate 9, Antarctica South Pole. Basically, Antarctica, from my understanding in the higher dimensions, is a portal in for intergalactic travel and visitors. And a lot of ships have come in and built bases through Antarctica, which is why when they start investigating this, they're going to start seeing actual physical structures held there in Antarctica. And it's actually one of the Stargates. And so the point being is that these portals have been opening, bringing through these streams of consciousness and frequency. And then in 2012, of course, many people who were working in this field of trying to raise the planet's vibration and ourselves, healers and light workers, etc., you know, this was a key portal for us. And just after, you know, at that time, the Earth and our Sun entered full time into this plasmic stream. Okay, and that's why 2012 was important. It wasn't a date where everything was going to happen. It was the starting point. It's almost like back to year, you know, I would call 21st of December 2012 like 0 point, and now the year one would come, you know, 2013 would be the first year, and then the second year of this new eon of time. And as we're talking about an evolutionary cycle of humanity, evolution takes time, but it's speeding up. Now, in 2013, what happened was that a Nomi particle activated in our planet, and large crystal cathedral networks underground in 5 key locations on our planet began activating. These were etheric kind of energy centers that opened and began excreting plasma. These are Sarasota, Florida, Oslo, sort of in the Oslo, Norway, which I'm going to go to this trip to Europe, Bali, Peru, the Sacred Valley, and Egypt, which we've done mission at before. And so these 5 zones started excreting plasma frequency. So now we have a situation where plasma is coming into the planet and plasma is excreting inside the planet. And there's so much light is now coming into the planet. These lower wavelengths of fear, anxiety, worry, control are starting to have less and less places for that light to hold on to. And this is why many things are starting to shift on our planet. It takes time, yes. Now, it takes time to evolve, and that's all part of this evolutionary process. Everything on this universe is built off sound, vibration, and light. This goes on to create color, form, and geometry. And geometry is the building blocks of the physical manifested world. Everything is held as energetic templates first. When things are held in an energetic template, it creates something in the physical. With this new frequency that's been coming into the planet, some beings have been able to raise their vibration enough So they can start being like an antenna and start receiving and accessing the very, very fast wavelengths. And what is held at those wavelengths is information for more evolved systems, more evolved intelligence ways of organizing ourselves, breakthroughs in technology, breakthroughs in the evolution of our planet and species. So what's happening is that scientists and any person who is in alignment with their sole purpose and their mission here on earth to be of service to others, that more giving path, loving path, when those people have been doing the internal work and raising their frequency enough to a point, they can start receiving these wavelengths which are now coming into the planet and all of a sudden receive revelation, much in the same way that maybe Archimedes received his breakthrough sitting in the bath and the water came up and he got his theory of buoyancy. Or Newton was under the tree and got hit by the apple. It's creating this kind of gestalt thinking, this aha moment. And the information that sits in behind that is then providing a solution to their life journey that they've been working on. Now, what happened from what I'm tracking on the frequency, what happened to, this was a signal. Bitcoin was like one of those wavelengths that was a signal to humanity to create a new architecting system for organization of our species, because we're moving from a portal of time where our whole system of organization, we've been going through the frequency of the masculine, the patriarchy, these last 26,000 year cycle. The cycle before was the matriarchy. A matriarchy was in control and more, utilizing the masculine for their will. And this last eon of time, the last 26,000 years, we've seen hierarchy control through the patriarchy. That is now collapsing, and we're starting to see the rise of the feminine, not to overtake the masculine, but we're starting to see this time of the twin ray, of the balance of the masculine and feminine working together. That is the frequency that is coming, which the building blocks are happening right now. And this is harmonizing the way that things are going to be unfolding. The way that we've been organizing ourselves has been a hierarchy, centralized control. And this centralized control is not allowing unity consciousness, which is now the broadcast signal coming through the galaxy to our planet for the next 2,000 or 3,000 years. It's not allowing, the current systems do not allow unity consciousness to express itself. So what has to happen? A new way of organizing ourselves has to transpire that allows a unified consciousness to have equal say. And this was the birth of Bitcoin, or which really was the birth of blockchain, because that was the starting point of it, which means really a true decentralized governance, i.e. a truly decentralized, and all that means is many, many people verifying and choosing, not one or two or a control grouping. And so this is one example. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is simply one example of the new, I call the New Earth architecture, starting to be broadcast to humanity, with each being in kind of construction or art or finance or currency or whatever their field is. Those beings on the cutting edge of consciousness can start to receive these next revelations, these next updates to propel humanity forward. And cryptocurrency has been the starting point of that. Now, of course, with this birthing of all of this, there are others in reactionary form, i.e. people who have been very invested in the old hierarchical system who want to remain the status quo, have had to change their game plan. So, of course, what's happening is that they're adjusting, utilizing this technology to potentially enslave us further. Because there's two paths to all this that I can see very clearly laying out. We're either going to become completely free or completely controlled. Right? It's not really any, and what I'm sharing is that let's all of us focus on that path. Let's not even worry about what that's going on over there and start saying, hey, this is what they're doing, this is what they're doing. It's more about choosing to align your energy and consciousness and your currency. Currency, some people might term the term money, but currency is your energy. And put it into projects that you believe are going to help make humanity a freer place. And this is where Bitcoin, Litecoin, some of these truly decentralized projects are starting to now gain a hold, because what's happening is that this same consciousness, this same frequency which is coming down to our planet is affecting everyone. All beings are starting to now wake up and evolve in consciousness. And there's, three simple steps to that. First, you might wake up, then you start to grow up and evolve, and then you start to show up and actually deliver and start to be of influence. And so wherever you are on that path is all perfect, because you can't force a flower to open. A flower will open in its own divine right timing, but the sun now is shining. And we've come out of this dark night of the soul for humanity and beginning to wake up to our full potential and to live as a free sovereign species. And the technology exists for that today. And then some people will say, well, what about 5G and what about all these other things? Well, when you begin to raise your frequency to a set point, you're going to get to a point where you're uninfluenced by the other wavelengths that are kind of going on. And yes, there are potentials that are playing out that humanity could drop into that kind of continue as a slave race. But that's not where I'm choosing to focus my energy and attention on. I'm choosing to focus on this path of freedom. And this is when you start to put all your energy and intent and effort into that. And the wind is at our sails now. The tailwind is here, where this energy is coming in. It's coming in unrelentingly for the next couple of thousand years. This is going to keep coming and keep coming. And if we take a look at, just what would happen in 2 generations, what are the consciousness of the young children today? Where are they at in terms of their, evolution of consciousness? There are more high souls coming to the planet now that when they come into positions of leadership, when they turn 30, 40, 50, the people in positions of power have a consciousness that's, unsupported by the frequency coming to the planet. And it's essentially going to create this great transition. And the metaphor here that I want to give everyone is that it's kind of this metaphor of, moving from rowing your boat across the ocean, trying to make change, to sailing your boat. Basically, the wind is at our backs now, and it's just a matter of aligning ourselves with our path and our purpose and what brings us joy, and allowing and live from inspiration. And living with inspiration, we will get the divine revelation as to what our next steps of we need to take to be of service are. And if we stay within service to others and service to humanity, we will be given the resources and the flow of energy and awareness of what we need to be doing next. And if everyone starts listening to their inner voice and starts following that, very quickly things will start shifting. So then it brings us all the way back to our original question, cryptocurrencies, right? I want to take a pause and a breath before I go into cryptocurrencies, just to allow all of that to particulate, okay? Just to share with you that everything is built on energy. A new energy is coming to the planet that is non-supportive of the old hierarchy and control. And this is going to come in and pull the very fabric on which they're trying to build things from, and is allowing the new energy to be able to develop and evolve to allow these new technologies and breakthroughs to keep coming towards us in society, which is why cryptocurrency is one of the solutions that are going to make a more fairer way of transacting and make it more unified as a means of exchange or ways of transacting that is not held by control. So I'll hand over to you, Bix, with any comments or questions, because you've probably got a few comments or questions.
My comment would be, I recently, just yesterday, had a conversation with Charlie Lee about the exchanges. I've been literally fighting the exchanges so that they do things the right way, and all the high frequency trading and the fake phony volumes. And after talking with him, he kind of said the same thing. Let's not fight the old way. Let's invent a new way and focus our attention on better ways to do things, not necessarily fighting the old way so it bends to our will. Let's create something new. I think that's awesome thought.
That's exactly in alignment with all the information I just shared. You create a new world not by destroying what you don't like, but building what you love. And then this old stuff just becomes irrelevant, okay? So in reply to your comment, now we can start getting, now I've given that frame up, okay, because I think that frame up's important because people can get a sense of hope that this energy that's coming into the planet is creating mass change. It already has created a lot of change. It's just going to continue to keep going. It's going to continue to keep accelerating. Is then an example of the exchanges is, well, rather than, worrying about what these centralized exchanges are doing, which they are creating, high frequency trading, they're sending up fake numbers of the trading volumes and doing all of that. We know, and the same thing's happening in the stock exchanges, and the same thing. Let's build these and focus and start using decentralized exchanges. The only way that you actually make it happen is by utilizing them ourselves. And the wave of decentralized exchanges hasn't really hit yet. Okay, they're building the tech to make it more user friendly, and soon we're going to start to see, probably in the next year or two, mass exodus to decentralized exchanges. Why? Well, governments are starting to come in and sweep in a little bit now, starting to pay more attention to what's going on in exchanges. More and more people are going to want to be living more, I guess, free, and will want to start making choices there where they're not getting spied on or they're not getting kind of, tracked or traced. And so more and more people are becoming more aware. The whole internet is kind of now being utilized as a means of surveillance, right? And so what's happening now is a new internet's being born. There's technologies that are out there that are creating decentralized internets. There's, just about every area of society you can see, there are coders who are streaming different, more improved ways to be more decentralized, out of less control, are there building it right now. We just haven't seen the birthing and usage of these yet. We're like, if we're building a construction, like a skyscraper, we're only up to the point of putting in the foundations. And quite often, if you know anything about construction, the foundations of a skyscraper take quite a long time. That's where most of the work is done, because it's the actual very foundation upon which everything else is built. But if we go to 2025 and we take a look at what's happening then, well, the world's a very different place. In 2025, everything's probably run off a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, which is a code which people can have full trust in. And built off that code are the smart contracts which execute everything. Corporations are going to start to fall away as we know them, with centralized head offices. In the same way that manufacturing basically came for the blue collar industry, where the robotics started to improve manufacturing, a lot of those workers fell away. The same thing's about to happen to the white collar workers, through banking, through accounting, through lawyers. All these different are all going to start to fall away. The technology is going to be performing all of these tasks autonomously, and what's going to be happening is that many of these people who are in the trenches coding solutions now for these different industries are looking at creating more decentralized ways of organizing ourselves that is going to allow these DAOs to express themselves, that people will enter relationships with the DAO, perform tasks and get executed that through their smart contract and get paid in that relevant crypto. And so what's happening is we are moving towards a more high-tech world, but my key message is let's not forget, let's keep it high touch. We can't lose our human nature, which is being in our heart centers and love and living in the organic world, not just the digital world. And that digital kind of world is, coming at us, but it's important that we live in nature and we live in alignment with natural law, and we live in our heart spaces to ensure that we keep developing our consciousness so that we can end up utilizing tech and not being used by tech, because there is that potential. And of course, agenda, if you dig deeper, where they want the artificial intelligence, 5G, and various blockchain activities to be like a more digital prison. But while that's being built on one side, all the systems for freedom are simultaneously being built. And then it's going to come down to one thing: choice. What will humanity choose? And this is what I'm betting on, is that the consciousness that continues to come to our planet is going to keep waking people up, and people are going to choose the path in service to others and the path of freedom rather than the path of control. And I know that Bix Weir at the forefront of that. of sharing that message and making people aware of what's really going on and helping people to make better choices and their choice of freedom. And there are thousands of people now like you, millions more are coming, who are all sharing a message of freedom, of sovereignty. And it's a wave that cannot be stopped, because people are waking up and they are following their guiding light in their high heart of their direction of living more free. And soon we'll have a more equal world where resources can be more naturally shared. The need for wars to create money, will be gone, and all of that control will be dissolved, because people will be free. And we have a path to get there. It might take some generations to be truly free, everyone, but we're at the very starting point of a new eon of time. It takes time for these constructions and building blocks to be put into place. We just need the faith and trust, put one foot in front of the other, keep working on our consciousness, keep raising our frequency, and show up in the world and be of influence. And therefore we can take with us all the beloveds who want to live in a new, different way.
It's amazing. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, it just makes so much sense in the way I look at things. And I still have friends who are stuck in the past and say, we're never going to get rid of these bankers. We're never going to get rid of this. And it is so much, it's a lighter place to be when you live with something pushing you towards a better solution. I think cryptos are a better solution to our old problems. I think getting rid of the criminals is a better solution to what they have done to us. I don't think that we are under the control of, or the control will stay around, the control of the bankers and the people behind the bankers and all that. I am convinced that we are pushing them away, pushing them out, because we're running towards something different. And we don't even have to fight them. That's the beauty of it all, is they'll kill themselves with their derivative books and all that. We don't even have to fight them. All we got to do is find this new way and put our attention towards it and work. Absolutely, it's going to take work, but work towards that other place to be. And that's what I take out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, mass adoption is coming, and the real, there's been these evolutions. I shared it in my more recent email. About these different, first there was the PC, and then there was the internet, and then from the internet it became smart devices. Well, smart devices are cheap enough now. It's actually possible to get it into people in third world countries, right? And from there, with more banks probably being less relevant, where you can become your own bank, people can suddenly start to be relevant in the financial, transactions. No matter where they are in the world, that's coming, and suddenly, enormous pockets of equity can be opened up for this, and more beings, as they follow their heart of service to others, will provide the resources and support for some of these other third world countries to start stepping up into this space. And as long as we all, come back to this very simple statement I said earlier, what you focus on is what you get. So if your perceptions are allowing you to be influenced by a group of people in suits who live in Wall Street or London or wherever they are in the world, still to influence your life today, this is only because you're allowing them to. It's a perception. They don't have any influence or relevance in my life at all. Sure, they have influence in the world, but not in my reality. And they don't have to have an influence in your reality or anyone's reality in the world. The only thing that's keeping them there is a belief. As soon as you shift the belief, the perception shifts. And how do you shift the belief? Is that you start to focus on something else that's going to create freedom. And as soon as you start to spend more time in that, all of a sudden you're not putting your energy over what they're doing to us, but we're putting our energy, time, effort, and resources into something that's working and freeing us. And this is where cryptocurrencies are very exciting. This is a completely exciting field. When I first looked into it, I was just blown away with its potential. We're literally talking about a systemic kind of disruption across every industry in the world. Cryptocurrencies, they are one application of blockchain or decentralized or distributed systems, and a very important piece. But everything is going to come with increased efficiency and disruption to hierarchy and centralized control. And at first, there's going to be some fight back. These next 2, 3, 4 years, we may see plays that, they're going to try to cling and claim onto things. Well, what's going to happen is that people are just going to simply shift to where they're being supported, where they're treated best. They're going to start moving to environments where they're treating best is one thing. They're going to start utilizing the on-ramps. There are whole blockchains being built that are focused on privacy. As soon as those applications start being built, on top of them, and some of the dApps that are being built on private blockchains, suddenly there's other choices to make. Bitcoin and Litecoin are great, but they are open ledgers, and so everyone can see all the transactions kind of going on.
Charlie Lee is working on Nimblewimble, which would make Litecoin completely anonymous.
Yeah, well, if he does that, that's the one missing piece so far. Then it's perfect money, right? Because that's wonderful to hear, because there is that. Then with that ability, transactions, and you can also have, say, something that hides your wallet address. I mean, it's a little unusual scenario where you can send crypto to someone, and then suddenly they can look at your wallet and find out what you've got in your wallet. It doesn't really happen for bank accounts, so it'd be nice to be able to have that feature.
Although you can have many wallets.
Of course, yeah. You have a smaller wallet that's got some. You've got I've got many wallets. I've got one that I receive money in from people or from exchanges, and then I send that to more my ledger, which is kind of like my bank account, and then I use that as an intermediary. It's probably good advice for anyone, not just having just one. But you see where this is going is with more privacy blockchains, that are focused on being developed. All fields and industries, are going to be more free, and more solutions are coming. It's just the beginning. We are so early in all of this. This won't even mature for 10 years, until anything that we can see, just like the internet in the 90s. Actually, it's only really today that the internet can do what we kind of promised it was going to do back in the late 90s. Mm-hmm. It's taking 15 or so years. This is kind of that same trajectory. I think it'll happen faster than 15, 18 years. I think it'll be more like 5 to 10, because everything's speeding up. But in that same way, what we are doing is that we are people who are following you and following, this industry and field, and have taken action by placing themselves with their own currency or fiat money into it, are going to be very well rewarded, down the line. And what I see then is that, people are going to have, for the first time, who are early positioned, quite often for people who are in a 9-to-5 job for maybe 20, 30 years, will have some freedom to be able to make choices, and to be able to, with that freedom of choice, will come their own longing of what gives them meaning and purpose. Because if you haven't had money and then suddenly you get it, well, when you get it, you often think, when you don't have it, this is going to make me happy. but when you get it, you actually quickly realize that actually I feel empty, unless there's something else behind it that I can do with it that brings me meaning. And so as people come into that realization, they'll want to use that money that they then have for doing good in the world. And this is where this will bring them a greater sense of fulfillment, peace, and happiness, by taking some of this and putting it to use in some parts of the world, or some fields that inspire them, that give them meaning based upon their background, based upon some of the suffering that they might have gone through, some of their more charitable ideas. They can suddenly take action upon and be the change they wish to see in the world by making a difference somewhere. And that's what I
absolutely not only believe that, I'm actually living it as I do more and more in the crypto music field, and that's what I love. I mean, that's the cryptocurrencies. They were great. They gave me the ability to do just what you said. Find the real thing that makes you happy, and you can serve the world doing it. I love doing the crypto stuff. And we talked a while back, and you said to me basically, why even charge for music? If you love it so much, do it. You can make money other places, and you attract the wheel of what was the wheel?
The wheel of abundance. You see,
the wheel of abundance.
Yeah, the way the wheel of abundance works is you give out, knowing that there's an expectation of return coming back, and people who don't have an abundance mindset freeze that step. You freeze the natural giving because of the fear that there won't be a return. But when you're abundant and know that you are totally connected to source, to prime creator, to God, whatever it is you label that infinite intelligence, we are all of that embodied. And so, of course, we're nothing but abundant. So why wouldn't I want to give my best gifts and just get them out there, knowing that I'm going to be compensated in other ways? It might not be direct through, music. It might be through these other synchronistic plays, which just suddenly unlock even more freedom. And then, because if money wasn't an issue, you'd play for free because you love it so much. And you are starting to do that. You're starting to just get your music out there because, music and folk singing is the way that culture changes. And so then you will be supported by the divine in those endeavors, and you're going to find that these beautiful paths just start opening up for you as you start to sing more and hold more concerts and, do a few road trips and get people together and have conversation and discussion. Music is really a big part of it. It brings people together in a way that is not just so through the linear mind. It comes at a deeper level and it moves people emotionally. And when they feel that emotionally with some of the songs that you're singing, I remember in one of your songs in Acapulco, I saw some people crying through one of the songs when you were just singing about getting in at a certain time in the crypto and losing a lot of money. There was a lot of people who did that, put a lot of their savings in and got a little bit hammered and I saw really touching people. And that's the secret to change is emotion, and when you can open up people emotionally and move them, well, then, you're very influential. And then there'll be very synchronistic ways where that return of that divine work is rewarded.
I agree. I'm living it.
Living it.
I'm absolutely living it. This has been an amazing conversation.
Here's something for you, Bix.
Yeah.
What have you ever had any?
First of all, when Christof challenges me, it changes my life every time. So, okay, bring it on.
Have you ever had any kind of questions I've always wanted to know in kind of crypto or finance or things that you've always kind of wanted to put together? Because we haven't done this in the crypto space, but I work with a beloved brother, a father, mentor of mine, and like an oracle. And we're able to access any information by tuning into what the questions are, and all of a sudden it's revealed through the divine presence. So if you've ever had any questions, what might be interesting is writing them out for me, and then for you and the beautiful burning questions that you probably have around some of the things you're investigating, exploring.
Any subject at all?
Any subject.
Yes, I have quite a long list in my head of things that I would love to know the answer to.
Okay, so why don't you get those to me on an email, and then I'll do a session with the Oracle, and we'll catch back up in a couple of weeks, do another video, and you can post it wherever you want, and have those big questions answered.
That would be amazing, and I'll reach out to my my Road to Ruta subscribers and ask them if they have anything. We can all put together a list of all those things that we've been thinking about. We would love to know. Of course, mine's going to start with the Grand Canyon. What the hell's in there? But
I can find out how much is in there for you.
Yeah, perfect. That would be awesome. And yes, I have. I mean, I'm thinking of like 10 right now. So okay. Yes, we'll take some time and put together a nice, decent list and send it over to you.
So I know that this conversation was probably titled "The Consciousness Behind Crypto," and I wanted to try to do an opportunity of a sharing of that kind of background of what's happening. Many people are looking into crypto just at the crypto space, but know that there's a big tailwind behind all of this. With these frequencies coming into the planet, things are evolving and cycling upwards. Our planet is ascending. We are ascending on it. Our evolution, our own consciousness is continuing to grow and evolve. And as we do that, we make choices that are going to navigate us more towards that kind of path of freedom. And this is happening not only for us, we people who are watching this video and are kind of the first wavers who are looking at finance and observing something isn't right and are coming to the conclusions and then are seeing crypto as a solution. It's all about then, taking action upon that and it's also, making the right choices as to what projects you're supporting. I'm not really in the cryptocurrency space to make money. That's kind of like a secondary factor of me choosing to place my energy and currency into projects that I want to support that I feel will be of benefit in the new world. And I think if we all come to it from that perspective rather than just money, then you come off projects that you're just in it for the money. It doesn't make sense. You have to have a value alignment. Your values need to be aligned with the projects that you're in. And when you've got that, everything's aligned, you can feel very good. And it's much easier to ride out the dips. Because if you're just in it for money, when something's detailing, why do I want to keep money in that if there's no substance behind why you're doing it other than the money? It doesn't make sense. But when there's a project, actually, I love this project. This can really change things for the better in humanity. Much easier to ride out the dips. And I know that you're kind of, we have a similar philosophy of more hodling for longer term. It's always, to be a trader, you're competing against, very smart algorithms and trading bots that know exactly when to be, then you have to be really on it, but when you're looking at more fundamentals, you can then choose fundamentally aligned projects with your own value system, and it's going to be easy to ride out the dips and the troughs, and you can then feel very good about where you're choosing to push your currency into the unfolding of this new world that we're all creating together.
That's a great way to put it. It sums up what Charlie Lee and I were talking about his. I mean, he believed that so much that he sold all his Litecoin, the coin he invented, to do that, so that he wasn't invested financially in it, but it's his baby, and he has never worked harder on it. And you talk to the guy, and it's like, oh my God, that's the kind of project I want to become involved in. The people around it, the goal of Litecoin is to provide humanity with a means of exchange when we need it the most. And I mean, I've been screaming about that for over 20 years. It used to be gold and silver. Now it's cryptocurrencies. But if any coin or any crypto sums up my philosophy and my reason for being in this, it would be Litecoin and the work that Charlie's doing.
Beautiful. And this is why, you can be so clear with all your decisions. There's never any worry, no matter what. And when Litecoin goes down to $20 to $25, $22, never any worry or doubt, because you're value aligned. And if everyone who's listening can, just do a little portfolio check now. And are you really happy about the direction and the intent of this project? And then just choose, because by putting your money into it, you're creating the future of this planet. Are these projects the ones you want to support that are going to help make our world a better place? And if you're happy with that, that's fantastic. If you have to move things around a little bit, that's also okay. It's just about being more aware on all levels that actually you're having an impact by placing your currency into certain projects.
Yep, I agree. Well, Christof, I want to thank you for your time. Was there anything else you want to leave us with?
Just I leave with one final message. That the most important thing is that we connect with our hearts, and we live here, not here. The smart devices in the digital world can provide so much distraction from what really matters. And what really matters is our family, and spending quality time with them, and making sure that the time we are with them is very focused, and we're bringing our full presence, because what distraction removes traction. And the most important thing you'll get when you get to the end of your days is the amount of quality time and impact and peace of myself I gave to my family. And then when that's full, you can start to fill that out across your local community. It's all about being connected with our hearts and feeling our way through life, not living in the mind, which is a useful tool, but is never designed to give us guidance in life. Our heart is always that compass.
Thank you so much for your time and for allowing us to make a list of the things that we always wanted to know and we'll get that to you. And I'll announce that at Road to Ruta when that will be. That next video will be done and then posted. Probably posted to Patreon. You guys want to join the Patreon channel? That'll probably go up there. Again, thank you, and we'll continue our journey together, and hopefully we can spread this message farther and farther around the world, because I think it's extremely important. And thank
Absolutely.
you.
And let's get you and Amy out to New Zealand one day. We have to get you out here for a visit.
Absolutely.
Or some other wonderful place on the planet we'll meet up again. I know that we're definitely going to see you in Acapulco next year, because I'm a little bit involved with them, helping with some organization. So we'll definitely see you there, but maybe we'll see each other again in the flesh before then. Who knows?
I hope so. And Amy will make it happen. All I have to do is mention it, because she's dying to go down there. So.
Yeah. Well, we have got an upcoming retreat in Italy, which might be interesting. I'll be sending an email out the end of this week. Take a look at this Italy retreat. It's going to be spectacular.
Awesome.
October this year.
Excellent. Hey, Christof, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All my love.